Welcome. Today we are taking up one very delicate feature of Vedic Sathapatya. This feature is distinctively available only because of the spatial order of the creators of space. Aadi Valmiki Ramayana accepts Vedic Sathapatya and avails fully this feature of spatial order of the creators of space. The spatial order is responsible for manifestation of two distinct generic manifestations of full unit and half unit. Aadi Valmiki Ramayana in very first sarga is a printout of whole scripture as narrated to Maharishi Valmiki by Narad Muni. And the last sarga of Balkand is of 25 shlokas range, starting with 100 shlokas sarga and reaching up till 25 sargas. 25 shlokas sarga is a reach at quarter of the full square. 10 square is taking us to 5 square. The square is being approached as quadruple quarter squares. We will be coming to these distinctive features of approaching square as quarter by quarter in the subsequent session. But for the present, today, our focus is upon the Ardhnareshwar feature of Vedic Sathapatya. Transcendental features of Vedic Sathapatya are of Ardhnareshwar. It is at the base of Aadi Valmiki Ramayana. The linear order approach which has resulted into a stumbling block for the modern mathematics, which in one way is of expression being designated as Fermat's last theorem, taking it to be powers 3 onwards do not split into a pair of similar powers. This is another feature of such a block, and the initial feature, as had been earlier pointed, is that hypercircles 1 to 7 increase, but from hypercircle 8 onwards start decreasing. However, the modern mathematics axioms and postulates are still not in a position to understand and appreciate as to why this is happening. In addition, there has been the stumbling block for the modern axioms as that everywhere continuous function still may be nowhere derivable. All these things, all these features, all these blocks are there as the modern mathematics is not comprehending the transcendental domain, 5 space setup, hypercubes 5, neither that way is in a position to comprehend and imbibe how the dimensional bodies of full unit split into a pair of dimensional bodies of half units. Sadkhas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with this distinguishing feature of Vedic mathematics, shall pose to oneself as to the existence of full and half unit manifestations in creator's space. Sadkhas, fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with the Vedic Sathapatya format of Aadi Valmiki Ramayana, shall sit comfortably and to permit the transcending mind to glimpse and imbibe the transcendental features of Ardhnareshwar as the base of existence phenomenon within frames, including human frame. Vedic Sathapatya format is of creator's space, which is of a spatial order. Within creator's space, because of the spatial order, there is simultaneous manifestation as a full unit as well as a half unit. The organization format of Aadi Valmiki Ramayana is of creator's space, and the same as such adopts Vedic Sathapatya format of a pair of distinct generic manifestations of full unit as well as half unit. Sadkhas, fulfilled with the intensity of urge, shall permit the transcending mind to glimpse and imbibe the Vedic Sathapatya formats parallel with artifices of numbers, being of dimensional spaces, frames. The space content itself manifests within creator's space as a fourfolds which permit split for the domain as a pair of dimensions and a dimension of dimension. One shall be parallel with Vedic Sathapatya manifestation format of creator's space, providing parallel interlocking to the space content as dimensional contents manifesting as artifices of numbers, values. As such, let us now have a glimpse at the tabulations which are sequentially going parallel with the numbers 1 to 100 as artifices of these numbers, standing interlocked as the dimensional frames of the respective manifestations of the creation space. Number value 1, it is the summation value of the fourfolds of hypercube, half of half unit. Number value 2 is the summation value of hypercube 1 of full unit. Hypercube value 3 is the summation value of hypercube 1 of half unit. Value 4 is the summation value of the fourfold synthesis of the dimensional content of 3 space. Space content conditioned within 3 space as 3 space content manifests a 3 space domain, which results into its split spectra as 3, 1, 1, minus 1. Like that, sequentially, when we shall be proceeding ahead from artifices 5, 6, 7, 8 onwards, then as is the tabulation, we in fact are going to reach at the interlocking of the artifices of numbers with those of the manifested bodies within dimensional frames. As such, it is going to be a very, very blissful but challenging and at the same time very rewarding exercises to have tabulation of artifices 1 to 100 and then having a reach at the interlocking of the artifices of these numbers with respective dimensional frames. This is going to be a very, very challenging exercise as well. One is to be through it. It is only by being through it that we will be in a position to be parallel with the Ardhnareshwar features, the transcendental features of half dimension. Now, this exercise, which is going to be of the four space for the half units, as it is said. Now, if we have a step ahead, a visit to full unit manifestations within creators of space, four space, as of the four folds, and the same are going to be as is the tabulation of the computer screen. Here, the total summation values are going to be in terms of the four folds, means dimension fold, boundary fold, then it is going to be a domain fold and origin fold. So four consecutive dimensional spaces contents, which means four consecutive numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. These four numbers with their parallel geometric formats as one space, two space, three space, and four space. These together manifest as a linear order, three space of summation value 10. Step ahead, spatial dimension, the solid boundary, the creative domain, and the transcendental origin, 2, 3, 4, 5, summation value 14, will take us step ahead of a linear order setup of our physical content space. So three space as a linear order space of a triple linear dimensions is to be transcended. And this transcendence as such is going to be transcendence for all the four folds. And once there is a transcendence for all the four folds, then there would be reach from three space hypercube 3, a full unit, to hypercube 4 of a full unit. Like that, we have to sequentially transcend and reach up till the phase and stage of hypercube 27 with 25 as a dimension. Therefore, sadhkas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with the Vedic mathematics as of its Sathapatya format features shall enter upon the first exercise, as has been pointed earlier, to have a tabulation for the half unit manifestations. And now as a second exercise, one shall enter upon the full unit manifestations. Once we are through these two manifestations, then we will enter upon the third exercise, and it is going to be as to how space content manifests as dimensional domain within creators of space. And it is here where we have to make ourselves cautious that here we are concentrating upon the way space content itself manifests as the domain folds. At the previous two exercises of full unit and half unit manifestation phases and stages, our concentration has been as to how the manifested bodies of full unit and half unit have been manifesting, and there being an interlocking of the artifices of the numbers values with the dimensional frames of the respective dimensional bodies. But here in this third exercise, we are concentrating upon as to how the space content itself is having sequential manifestation within the dimensional frames, making it to be a linear order dimensional frame domain as 3 space, so D3, then 4 space D4. So space content within 3-dimensional frame of a linear order has its manifestation for 3 space domain, which makes volume for us. So volume of a cube is in fact the expression of the manifestation of the space content getting conditioned within 3-dimensional frame of 3 linear dimensions. Step ahead, the space content when conditions within a spatial dimensional frame of quadruple dimensions, then the same manifests as the domain fold of 4 space hypercube 4. So domain fold in itself is a space content lump, but within specific conditions and restrictions. These specific conditions and restrictions get imposed because of the dimensional frame. It is the number of dimensions of the dimensional space which as a dimensional frame put restrictions upon the manifestation of the space content and its role. Like that, we have to be through these whole range of manifestations. So D3 to D25 is going to be our whole exercise. But with this restriction, we will be having an opportunity to visit as to how a full unit hypercube splits into a pair of half unit hypercubes. Let us sit comfortably. Let us be parallel with hypercube n of full unit. Its 4 folds are going to be of values n minus 2, n minus 1, n and n plus 1, leading to summation value 4n minus 2. However, when we will be visiting manifestations of half unit, then hn over 2 will be a 4-fold manifestation of values n over 2 minus 1, n over 2 minus half, n over 2, and n over 2 minus 2.5, leading to the summation value 2n minus 1. It is here where we can have a pause and see that 4n minus 2 as the summation value of hn of full unit is going to be half of it when it is hn over 2. And it is this feature of the split of full unit body into a pair of half unit bodies, which is the resultant attainment of having a transcendence from the linear order and having a reach for spatial order. The sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems shall pose to oneself as to where the linear order takes us to and how the Vedic systems transcend from the limitations of linear order and have a reach at the Vedic Sathapatya. Now, let us pose to ourselves as to the linear order. When we have n plus 2 raised to power 3, it gives us n3 plus 6n squared plus 10n raised to power 1 plus 8n to 0. It is the manifestation of cube with unit volume, with 6 unit surfaces, 12 unit linear edges, and 8 unit points. It is this manifestation, it is this structural setup of the cube is there because of approaching as a linear order. So we are, when restricting ourselves to remain within three space of a linear order, then the manifestation of Euro space, one space, two space, three space contents will give us the setup as is the cube. Now see, now if we are having a m as a value and we want to structure a cube of m length, m breadth, n height, then the setup as it is will amount to that volume attainable, unit volume which will be available will be of n minus 2 raised to power 3. So see that m minus 2 volume is available during the manifestation process of a linear order for volume M3. It is a reach from M3 to M minus 2, 3. Now, if we accept that Z cube is equal to X cube plus Y cube, then it will take us to that volume units wise. It will be Z minus 2 cube is equal to X minus 2 cube plus Y minus 2 cube. Absurdity, contradiction. This, in a way, becomes Fermat's last theorem. Now, see the mental block, the axioms, restrictions, the logic, the processes, the steps, everything ultimately boils down to having a reach up till the limitations of the linear order. How to transcend therefrom is the puzzle, and it is this puzzle which is answered by the Vedic mathematics, that let us transcend from a linear order to a spatial order. Let us transcend from a space within a three linear axis to a space within quadruple spatial dimensions. And once this happens, then the full unit body will split into a pair of half unit bodies. Full unit body as a synthetic setup of a pair of half unit bodies is the poser. And here is the answer. It is this answer for which we are being at the phase and stage, as that if we want to be parallel with the organization format of Aadi Valmiki Ramayana, then we have to be parallel with Ardhnareshwar features of Vedic Sathapatya. Thank you very much.